Let's just dive right in, because today's deep dive is an absolute roller coaster. It literally reads like a modern-day, high-stakes Cinderella tale pulled straight from our source material. We're talking about a narrative packed with intense suffering, unbelievable emotional resilience, and, spoiler alert, some seriously satisfying poetic justice. This is the story of an orphaned girl named Gauri, and what we're really exploring here is the mind-blowing contrast between the unimaginable cruelty of her own blood relatives and the unexpected, overwhelming warmth of complete strangers. So buckle up, because the emotional swings in this one are massive. Oh, God, what kind of night is this at my parents' home, where outside the scorching June wind is blowing? Will my nights always be this painful? You hear that? That heartbreaking plea from our source text drops us right into the absolute depths of Gauri's despair. Just imagine it. Imagine being locked out of your own family's air-conditioned rooms, forced to endure the brutal, suffocating heat of a summer night. You're clutching a torn pillow outside, while your own relatives are sleeping in perfect comfort just a few feet away. And the absolute worst part? That agonizing reality is what she wakes up to every single day. So, to really grasp Gauri's journey, we've got to understand the two totally different worlds she's caught between. The source material frames this as a clash between two concepts: the Mayaka, which is her parental home where she grew up, and the Sasarol, her new in-laws' home after she gets married. Today, we're going to unpack the stark, physical, sensory contrast between these two places. Because what absolutely should have been her safe haven, the Mayaka, is described as an absolute hellscape. Meanwhile, this totally unknown world of the Sasarol, it completely flips the script and becomes a luxurious, deeply loving sanctuary. All right, moving into Section 1, the abusive parental home, a literal living nightmare. Here is the setup. After losing her parents, Gauri is taken in by her father's older brother, her Tao, Chatter Singh, and his wife, her Thai, Aunt Kalo. Throw in their two sons who, by the way, the source material literally calls useless and worthless, and this family essentially turns Gauri's life into a prison. They don't see her as family at all. To them, she's just a burden and an unpaid servant. And the sensory extremes they put her through are honestly staggering. Make a tiny mistake, boom, she's locked in a windowless, pitch-black storeroom swarming with mosquitoes. In the absolute peak afternoon sun, her aunt forces her to mop floors that are so blisteringly hot they literally burn her knees. Night falls, she's banished to the roof with zero breeze. And get this, just to be extra cruel, Aunt Kalo forces her to wear heavy winter wool sweaters in the middle of the scorching June heat and feeds her 3-day-old moldy bread. You can practically feel the suffocating heat and the sheer physical agony she's living through. And if you're wondering about the psychological manipulation, check out this horrific threat from Aunt Kalo. She tells Gauri, if you tell your grandparents anything, I will make your condition so bad that even Yamraj, the god of death, will tremble. Seriously, the god of death. She drops this threat right when a totally unexpected, super wealthy marriage proposal arrives for Gauri from the prestigious Agarwal family. Now, do they care about Gauri getting a happily ever after? Of course not. They just want to make sure her grandparents, who happen to control Gauri's inheritance, stay completely in the dark about the abuse. Which brings us to Section 2, the deceptive marriage plot, a frantic, desperate cover-up. Okay, so with this wealthy family visiting and Gauri's grandparents heading to the city to oversee the match, the abusers go into full-blown panic mode. They have to hide years of abuse fast so they can pull off their master plan to steal her property. The text lays out this wild, multi-day scramble. Within just 1 hour of getting the proposal, the plot kicks off. Day 1, the uncle sends his son to buy the absolute cheapest market clothes so Gauri looks presentable, but, not pampered. Over the next 2 days, they force her to literally slather strong medical cream all over her body just to hide the massive mosquito welts and the dark bruises from their beatings. By day 3, when everyone arrives, they flip a switch and put on this sickeningly sweet performance of fake affection. All of it building up to their ultimate goal on the wedding day, extorting her property signatures. And here, we hit the lowest emotional point of the whole narrative. Just moments before her wedding departure, literally as she's about to walk out the door to start her new life, Gauri gets dragged into a back room by Uncle Chatter Singh and Aunt Kalo. They viciously threaten her, basically saying, sign away your father's village inheritance to us right now, or we will murder your new husband. Shaking with fear, Gauri presses her ink thumbprint onto the legal documents. Think about that. The abuse continues right up until the exact second the car door finally closes. Now, let's take a collective breath for Section 3. A loving new family. Finding sanctuary. So Gauri crosses the threshold into the Agarwal household, utterly terrified of what fresh new tortures might be waiting for her. But then, the atmosphere just shifts. The tension finally breaks. The text gives us this complete 180-degree sensory flip. over in Hermica, we had scorching heat, hard floors, stale food, and agonizing, constant fear. But her new saucerol? We're talking the cool breeze of centralized AC, velvet beds, waking up to a hot breakfast of poha and tea brought right to her, and a family that is fiercely protective. It is a literal night and day transition from pure torture to absolute, unconditional comfort. There's this incredible moment on their wedding night. Her new husband, Akash, walks into their air-conditioned bedroom and finds Gauri curled up on the hard floor in the corner. She's too terrified to even touch the bed or use the AC. His reaction is everything. He looks at her and says, "You are the Lakshmi, the goddess of wealth and prosperity of this house. This bed, this room, everything is yours. You have no need to sleep on the floor." Those words are huge. They directly counter all of Aunt Kalo's vicious threats, finally proving to Gauri that she is actually truly safe. But, trauma doesn't just magically vanish overnight. The very next morning, Gauri wakes up late and goes into a full-blown panic attack. She is absolutely convinced she's going to be beaten for oversleeping. She literally falls at her mother-in-law's feet, begging her not to drag her by the hair or throw her out into the blazing sun. And here is the major psychological turning point. The family doesn't yell, they don't get angry, they just break down in tears of compassion. They instantly realize the horrors she must have survived. So instead of punishing her, they serve her a warm breakfast in bed and promise that no one will ever lay a hand on her again. All right, let's look at section 4, karma and final justice. Time to balance the scales. Because look, you just can't steal an orphan's inheritance and torture her for years without the universe eventually stepping in to fix things, right? At this point in the text, we're hit with a massive question. How long can a foundation built entirely on lies and cruelty actually hold up? Are Uncle Chatur Singh and Aunt Kalo really going to get away with her father's property? Well, the answer is a resounding no, and the way their evil plot unravels happens incredibly fast. Emboldened by all this new love and support, Gauri finally snaps. During a video call with her grandparents, she breaks down and spills everything about the torture. The grandparents are furious. They immediately travel to the city to confront the uncle and aunt face to face. Now, predictably, the abusers try to lie their way out of it, playing the victim. But then, and I absolutely love this detail, a neighbor overhears the shouting, walks right over, and just exposes them. The neighbor confirms how they used to lock Gauri outside in the sweltering heat while they slept in the AC. Hearing this, the grandfather immediately gets on the phone with Gauri's new father-in-law, forging an unbreakable alliance to protect her at all costs. Just like that, the abuser's carefully constructed lies crumble the second impartial witnesses step up. And all of this ramps up to a seriously dramatic climax. Gauri is out visiting a temple with her new in-laws. Out of nowhere, the desperate aunt, uncle, and cousins ambush her near this isolated tree. In a total frenzy of greed, they literally try to strangle her, trying to force her to sign new ironclad property papers. But Akash and the police arrive just in the nick of time. They catch the abusers red-handed. The whole awful family gets arrested on the spot for domestic violence and attempted murder, and Gauri's property is legally, permanently secured in her name. Her entire emotional journey is perfectly summed up by this one beautiful realization she has at the end. I used to be terrified of the nights. Now I have started to love them. Think about that shift. The nights, which used to mean forced labor, suffocating heat, mosquito bites, and pure terror, are now a symbol of utter peace and security. Just compare her new reality to where we started today. Instead of being forced into winter sweaters in Dune, she's off enjoying her honeymoon up in the cool river mountains wrapped in soft Kashmiri shawls. Instead of choking down moldy bread, she's spending summer nights sipping cold mango shakes on a breezy balcony, laughing with her brother-in-law. And most importantly, she's sleeping peacefully in an air-conditioned room on a velvet bed without shedding a single tear. It is a complete, well-deserved contrast. Which brings us to a final, pretty provocative thought to chew on. Should greedy, cruel abusers who systematically torment orphans spend the rest of their natural lives behind bars? The story gives us such a dark look at human cruelty, but it also highlights the incredible healing power of a genuinely loving environment. The abusers in our story ended up exactly where they belonged, in a jail cell. Meanwhile, Gauri reclaimed her life, her inheritance, and her happiness. It really makes you think about the true value of family, doesn't it? Thank you so much for hanging out with me as we unpacked this incredible narrative. Keep learning, keep asking questions, and I'll catch you next time.